Hey everyone, Aaron here, and this is my 47th review on this channel, and that is of Bakemonogatari, the first season of the Monogatari series, which I plan on reviewing all of them, not right away. I'm probably going to give them like a few weeks in advance. I've seen up to the current date of the Monogatari series, but this is just the first season. I'm not really reviewing this one as its sole entity, because it's not a complete series yet. It does have some seasons coming out and a movie coming out. But anyways, the main premise of Bakemonogatari is our main character, Aragi, is an interesting guy. He starts off by saying that he is a vampire, or was a vampire, I should say, and the sense that he actually only has a part of vampirism in his body. Like he's still kind of weak to the sun. He doesn't like it too much, but for the most part, he still gets super healing. He has a lot of strength to him. It's very interesting. And as he's walking and kind of talking about his backstory a little bit, he ends up seeing a girl falling from the sky. And when he catches her, his first comment is that she's almost weightless, that she weighs about the equivalent of a feather. So it kind of starts off our series where it does. Bakemonogatari, and at least Aragi, is very similar, I think, in sense that of the Melancholy from Rumi Suzumiya, where Kion talks about all these stories that in different arcs and stuff, but he talks about them in his memory, in which I love. I always tell people I love that concept, but more so that when he talks about like, oh, this happening, it's almost like you talking and telling a long story to one of your friends or family, and forgetting midway, oh wait, and I forgot this part, oh, and this also happened, and oh, let me describe this. Bakemonogatari has almost a similar kind of concept to it. So Aragi is an interesting protagonist in that sense that he starts dealing with a lot of these women that he runs into and their issues in terms of them getting possessed by deities, and not the typical deities that everyone knows about in terms of Japanese culture, but more so deities that represent different things like earth, wind, water, the elements essentially. Like for example, our main character here, this woman here, which her name always eludes me, even though I love this series. It's one of my favorite series, but her name I always forget off the top of my head. She is actually possessed early on by a crab spirit, and the crab spirit makes it so she's cursed with weightlessness, which kind of understood from the beginning of this, but that's not a spoiler. It's something that you find out right away. But Aragi is able to actually see, because of his vampire powers and his skills, he's actually able to see and interact with some of these creatures and kind of try to stop them if they're doing wrong to human beings. But they're also very powerful because they are deities in the sense of nature. I mean, earth and wind and water are very strong. Even if you're not into the whole deity concept, because I'm not a person into deities. I have one faith, but it's interesting if you look at those and kind of see that every deity has its own strengths and weaknesses, and that's kind of represented in the show very strongly. That multiple characters you meet, like for example, there's another character you'll meet early on too, that's possessed by a monkey spirit, standing for like I guess earth in that concept, and it makes her very violent and very strong, like the earth. Earth has very strong and violent natures and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see that concept, but Bakemonogatari is done by one of my favorite authors, Niso Isod, who actually his name's a palindrome, which you could spell it backwards and forward the same way. And some of his works are phenomenal because he does a lot in terms of talking. Like he does some very interesting, I think, monologuing and how characters express themselves and towards other characters, and how long some conversations could go on. And that's what the show is going to do, and that's going to turn some people away, is that there's a lot of talking in the show. I mean, you're going to notice it pretty early on that they try to like keep the talking a minimum in the beginning episode, because I think they're trying to show what the show can do. Because there's some phenomenal action sequences in the show. Like, I mean, this show actually has some pretty cool action sequences that are better than some anime even out to date currently. I mean, this is not that old. This is only a few years old, but it looks phenomenal. But there's also a lot of downtime where our animation is kind of almost halted to this JRPG element of just them talking. And I'm not saying that they're still completely, but it's almost close to that, because they'll have just characters on screen talking and talking. And it's not that it's a bad thing. I actually love all the characters that you'll meet in the show are actually very interesting and all quirky and have their personality traits in huge directions. I mean, like our character right here, she looks like a nice, innocent, friendly young girl. but really she's kind of a tough, hard ass that she is very quick to get pissed off. She gets jealous of certain things, etc. And another character you'll meet is very hyper and, overly kind of weird about how she attacks people and shows her affection towards other people. And the show does a phenomenal job with that. But again, like I said, this is a lot of talking. I mean, even there are some scenes where, well, actually a lot of the show has these scenes where a character will be talking, for example, about another character, but then the screen will pop up showing their inner dialogue and their inner thoughts, and it'll be represented in word text where you'll see like a red or white background and you'll see black wording or blue wording. It's always different. It's always kind of random and happenstance. It just happens. But I think this show does an amazing job with its dialogue, and I can't say that better, that it's very good. So the plot works very well for the show. At least Bakemonogatari is, as crazy as it is, very easy to follow in terms of what's happening. Every story explains, if not right away, at least in the middle part of the arc, what's happening in better detail. And, you won't ever be too lost. I mean, there are times where, because Aragi does that whole kind of Kion concept where he doesn't talk about things in the correct order, there are times that sometimes some episodes will be like, oh wait, where is this in representative of the episode I'm just watching? Wait a second, is this the end? Is this the last episode for this arc? And it will do that. It actually does that a few times in the show. But yeah, it's phenomenal. It's a great show. I love the soundtrack. I love the voice acting in Japanese. It's only Japanese, but I love the voice acting, and I love the animation, and I love the plot. So for that, I actually give Bakemonogatari an A. I was thinking of almost giving this A+, but I left my bias at home in terms of it does, again, have a lot of talking, and that's not everyone's cup of tea. I mean, people love dialogue in anime, but this show does a lot of dialogue. Sometimes you'll have a whole episode just them talking with very little action and very little movement. So, I mean, that's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's why I can't give it a full A+, even though I would, if I was biased enough, I would give it an A+, but I'm trying to keep my bias at home, and so it's only an A. But yeah, anyways, guys, this is it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, the whole 9. And as always, until our paths cross again in the next review, have a good one, everyone. Bye.